Welcome back to Chamber Connect. I'm your host, Deb Newman, President and CEO of the Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce. And we have a wonderful treat for you on this program. We're going to learn about the Olympia Snowe Women's Leadership Institute with Kate Elmes. Kate is joining us. She is the Director of Philanthropy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Deb. I'm so excited.
It's a delight. It's a delight. I am a huge, long-time fan, first of all, of Olympia Snowe.
Same.
And also of this institute and the work and the impact that the institute has made over the years. So thank you for joining us on Chamber Connect to talk about it. For anybody listening who's never heard of this before, how did this all get started and what is it that the institute does?
Yeah, great question. And first, we're just such a fan of you, so thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So when Senator Snowe decided not to run again in 2012, she really thought to herself, I think I can do more good here in Maine. And so she had already raised all of these campaign funds for her reelection, and she thought to herself, what can I do with these funds to make the most impact in this world possible? And she was really struck, as many of us know, Senator Snowe loves her data, always prepared. And she was really struck by the data that showed the rate in which girls were losing self-esteem, especially as they transitioned from middle to high school. It's like something like 3.5 times faster than their male counterparts. So she took these campaign funds and she said, you know what I can do to make the world better is I can invest in Maine girls. And so she founded this Women's Leadership Institute really based on her own experience and her own, life-changing career representing Maine in the Senate. And I think what really resonates with Senator's story is her own childhood growing up in Maine and having trauma, losing both her parents, before she turned 10, being raised by family and being really raised by the Lewiston Auburn community. And that's something, even for our girls who were born after Senator Snowe served, still resonates with them, that she had this kind of childhood that they can relate to, that really has a lot of trials and tribulations and overcome to be a Senator Snowe. And so the program is for sophomore, junior, and senior girls in high school. And each year, the pillars are really reflective of what Senator Snowe used to be successful, which is my values, my voice, and my vision. And so the program builds on those three pillars, and by the time the girls graduate, they're graduating with remarkable rates of confidence, aspirations, which of course, very relevant to the Chamber's work, has the power to transform the workforce here in Maine.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And what a legacy.
Totally.
What a legacy she's leaving and continues to leave. How long has I think you mentioned, but again, how long has the program been in existence?
Yeah, so we're celebrating our 10th class
Wow.
that are currently sophomores. So, even just the work that we've been able to do in those 10 years, we, as of June, will have over 1,000 graduates of our program, which is really exciting. And what we know is the majority of those graduates are still here in Maine. They're pursuing post-secondary education and they're entering the workforce. And I'm so excited for the next 10, 20, 50 years as our alum base continues to grow to see that impact on the state of Maine. I think is going to be truly profound and transformative.
How does the program work actually?
Yeah.
What are the A's, B's, and C's and the logistics and?
Yeah, so we are in 37 schools in all 16 counties. And we operate in partnership with schools. They are our best partners. And so we ask freshman teams to think about the girls that might not yet see the leadership potential in themselves. So these are the girls that if we came in, and said, hi, we're from the Olympia Snowe Institute, who wants to come get our application? We're looking for the girls that might not raise their hand to that question. They're the ones that might fly a teeny bit under the radar, but yet their team, their teachers, their administrators, their guidance counselors see that potential in themselves and want the girls to see that in themselves. So they get nominated by the schools, and we really ask the schools to also reflect the diversity of the schools. So we know, when we're in Westbrook and Lewiston, we might be seeing some new Mainers, and when we're in Holton, it might look a bit different. So really reflect the population that's within the school. And then freshman year, they get nominated, they get called down to the principal's office. I just heard oftentimes they think they're in trouble. And then they hear that they've been nominated for this program. And then we kick off sophomore year. And the magic of this program is really the relationships. It's the statistics on how many young people growing up in Maine that don't have a caring adult in their corner is just really sad. And so what we do is we match 2 highly trained, caring adult volunteers from within that community to a cohort of 5 or 6 girls. And those 5 and 6 girls stay together as a cohort for 3 years with their mentors. And those relationships that the girls form amongst each other and then with those adults is really what changes lives. And then we provide that curriculum that really asks the girls, like, first, their values. Like, what are the things that are important to you? What drives you? And girls say things like their families and kindness. Really, as adults, I think we should all be saying, like, what are our values too? And then, so they discover those. And then junior year, they go into their voice. So you've identified your values. How do you use your voice to affect change? And how do you use your voice to help others, to have conversations, to maybe have conversations in which you disagree, but you can be respectful about those conversations. And then senior year, you have your values, you have your voice, then how do you take your vision to onward to make sure that you're always living your life in aligned with your values? And that's really exciting. And that's when we start to really see the girls like get what the experience they just went through. And they see like these 2 adults that continue to show up for them every single month. And I think that's where the magic happens. And now that we have so many alums, kind of our next step as a program is how do we continue to support them through post-secondary, making sure that they're succeeding in whatever they're pursuing, and then how do we help them enter the workforce?
This is an amazing program. It really is.
I could talk about it all day.
I don't blame you. I'm sure you have so many stories about girls who have been through this program and how this just changed their lives. Are there any that come to mind that you'd want to share with us?
Yeah, there's this happened a couple of weeks ago. We one of the things our students do is take their Clifton strengths, which is kind of like an MBTI. What are the leadership strengths that you have? Because we all have leadership strengths. They're just sometimes look a little bit different. And so because we're accredited, which means girls graduate the program with college credit, they take they have homework. And so their homework that month was to take this Clifton Strengths quiz and then show up at their cohort meeting to talk about what the quiz found. And so they paired up, and this one particular student has just been pretty out forth that she doesn't have a ton of support at home. Just a tragic story of just a girl who's really kind of out there by herself. And I'm also like an emotional person, so I'm gonna start tearing up. But her OLA, which is what we call our participants Olympia's leaders, and we call our mentors Olympia's leader advisor. Her Olympia's leader advisor turned to her and said, I see your strength as a leader every day. And this girl just started crying because she just doesn't hear that at home. And so to have somebody recognize that in her, that's what we're doing, is having that one adult see something that a student might not yet see in themselves, but is gonna, change her life and have potential to change the world.
I can imagine what it's like being an OLA.
Yeah.
And how probably the impact, I don't know if the impact's greater for the girls or the leaders.
We hear that all the time.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think that's a really neat thing about our program, is that we pull in these incredible, like heads of companies from across the state, and they give up a substantial amount of time for 3 years to show up for these girls. And that's pretty That's pretty incredible.
It's a big commitment.
It's a big commitment. And I was just, talking to one of our Olas down in Southern Maine, and she's like, I want to know, like, when's the soccer game? When's that ballet performance? Oh, you work at Dunkin' Donuts? I'm going to come and get a coffee, and I'm going to tell your manager what a great job you're doing. So it's like this relationship, but it also, she's like, I'm going to be there when this girl gets married. I'm going to be there when she has her baby shower.
I could see that.
Yeah. It's pretty...
It's I'm sure it becomes a lifetime relationship.
Absolutely. And we hear what you just said all the time, which is the impact on our Olas is just as incredible as with our girls.
Wow. So in the few minutes we have left, let's talk about how, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I want to be part of that, I want to get involved, where are the opportunities to get involved in this program? So
many opportunities. The first, if you're interested in really like changing the lives of young people, you can become an Ola. So that's for female identified leaders who make that 3-year commitment to the girls. We do recruitment, each year to try to attract women that we think would be great. And so that's a huge way to help get involved and really make a difference. We also have kind of like one-day opportunities. Every fall, we bring all of our girls together at the Cross Insurance Arena right here in Bangor. And as you can imagine, welcoming 1,000 people is an all hands on deck.
Cool.
So we have tons of opportunities to kind of help there. We also bring in tons of guest speakers. So I was just, thinking of bringing in women who, might not have had like a straight and narrow career to come and share their stories. Deb, we need to get you in.
I would love it. I'd be so honored.
You would be incredible.
I'd be honored, yeah.
And of course, we do this work at no charge to our Olympia's leaders or the schools, which means that those girls who might not be able to participate in this program, if their families had to contribute, can participate with no worries at all. And so that's about a $2,500 commitment investment that we're making in each individual girl per year. So that's a big financial commitment, and we couldn't do it without our corporate partners, our donors, our foundations that really make this work possible. So of course, making a financial contribution really enables this to happen.
So many ways to get involved, and I know you're trying to build awareness about the program in the Bangor region, which is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're right here in Bangor High School, and in some other schools here. But being a statewide organization, I think that's always the challenge, right? Of like, we're everywhere. And so just the more people that know about us, and the chances are is that you know somebody who's been through the program or served as an Ola. And so I think the more people that know about us, the better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the website is Snowe. You all should know how to spell Senator Snowe. Snowe, leadershipinstitute.org. And there's a lot of great information right on the site about how to get involved, how to support the program. How long have you been with the organization?
I'm a newbie. I started in January, but I've admired this organization for so long, so it feels like it's been longer. And I just, of course, admired Senator Snowe for so long. So it's, I think, just such an honor to be carrying out her legacy.
Well, they're lucky to have you.
Well, thanks, Deb.
What were you doing prior to?
I was working at a very similar youth development nonprofit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Kate Elmes, Director of Philanthropy, Olympia Snowe Women's Leadership Institute. As we wrap up, any final words or any quick, another good story? There's so many good stories.
There's so many good stories. I was just up in Holton last week welcoming our next class of Olympia's leaders, and it was so fun because we had a freshman who will be in the program next year was there with her sister, who is already an Olympia's leader, a junior, and the parents, mom and dad, were sitting right behind the sisters, and it was so neat to hear the sister just say how excited she was for her younger sister to be part of this program and go through what she had gone through. And she was like, and I can't wait to talk about it all. And I just, so excited for you. So it's exciting that we're getting to that stage where we have siblings, and we even have former Olympia's leaders coming back as Olas. And so I think I'll just leave you with that like cycle of women supporting women in whatever capacity that we can.
And what a huge impact this is making for, excuse me, we'll take that out. And what a huge impact this is having on individuals, on the state, on our economy, and just creating women, giving them the opportunity for success in life.
Totally.
And I love that because, you know, I think regardless of your circumstances, high school's a tough time anyway.
And only getting tougher.
Yeah, and to have supportive adults mentoring you who care about you, who don't have to.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's so great.
It's really remarkable. And then when they all get together, you know, I think the girls think that like, oh, this is like really, you know, unique and special. And of course it is, but then they get together, you know, at the Cross Insurance and see that they're actually a part of something so statewide and incredible. And that there's, you know, so many Olympia's leaders across the state that have had the same experience.
Yeah.
And that there's so many Olas across the state that also, even if they're not, you know, in their cohort, deeply care about their success is really incredible.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kate Elmes, Director of Philanthropy, Olympia Snowe Women's Leadership Institute, and thanks Senator Snowe for what she started.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And thank you for joining us on Chamber Connect. Oh, snowleadershipinstitute.org. snowleadershipinstitute.org. Go there. Check it out. We'll catch you next time.